This is one of my favorite stories about cars because this is where it all started for me. This is the story of the Dodge Charger and Challenger. Back in 1964, the first generation of the Mustang was released, and it instantly became a hit with over 22,000 orders on the very first day. This, of course, put pressure on other car manufacturers to come out with their own version of a sporty muscle car that would compete with the Mustang. In the case of Dodge, they had two very popular models at the time, the Dodge Charger and the Dodge Challenger. Now, these two models were not exactly new. They'd actually been around since 1958, but by 1964, they were in need of a redesign. So, in order to stay competitive, Chrysler decided to turn these two models into what is now known as a pony car, basically giving them a redesign that was more in line with the Mustang. The first thing they did was extend the wheelbase of both models by 4 inches, which gave them a more athletic stance. Then they added a fastback roofline, which made the cars look sportier and more aggressive. And finally, they gave both models a front and rear end that was more in line with the 1964 design trends. But there was one problem. Even though the redesign looked great on paper, in person it just didn't look right. The redesign made the Charger look too much like the Challenger, and they needed to find a way to differentiate the two models. So they went back to the drawing board and came up with a new front end for the Charger, which was more aggressive and sporty. It featured a thin, almost razor-like front grille that stretched from one end of the car to the other, along with a new set of headlights that were stacked vertically. This gave the Charger a meaner, more intimidating look. As for the Challenger, they decided to go in the opposite direction and make it more luxurious and comfortable. They gave it a larger, more upright front grille that was more in line with the 1964 design trends. And they also added a new set of tail lights that were shaped like arrows. This gave the Challenger a more refined and elegant look. And there you have it. In just a few short months, Dodge had taken to existing models and turned them into 4 distinct models that each had their own unique look and feel. The new Charger was an instant hit with buyers. They loved the way it looked and they loved the performance that it offered. Under the hood, the Charger was powered by a 330 horsepower, 6.4-liter V8 engine that could take it from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. As for the Challenger, it didn't do quite as well. It wasn't nearly as sporty as the Charger, and most buyers preferred the look of the Charger as well. So they discontinued the Challenger after only 3 years. But the Charger, oh man, the Charger continued to be a fan favorite, and they even released a special high-performance version of the Charger in 1969 called the Charger Daytona. The Daytona was designed specifically to be a stock car racer, and it featured a number of aerodynamic improvements that helped it achieve top speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Unfortunately, the Charger's success on the racetrack did not translate to success in the showroom. Buyers simply weren't interested in a Charger that looked like a stock car. So they discontinued the Daytona after only 2 years. But the regular Charger continued to be a popular model until 1978 when it was discontinued due to the gas crisis. But the story doesn't end there because the Charger would make a brief comeback in 1981 as a 4-door sedan. It wasn't nearly as sporty as the original Charger, but it still featured the same iconic design. It was essentially a 4-door version of the 1969 Charger. But the second oil crisis in 1983 put an end to this version of the Charger as well as muscle cars in general. Today, the Charger and Challenger are enjoying a resurgence in popularity thanks to the introduction of the new Hellcat engine. And let me tell you, the new Hellcat engine is no joke. It's a supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine that produces 717 horsepower and 656 pound-feet of torque. That's enough power to make the Charger and Challenger some of the fastest muscle cars on the road today. If you want to learn more about the new Hellcat engine, I highly recommend watching the video I did on it. I'll provide more details below. Now it's your turn. Which one do you think is better, the Dodge Charger or the Dodge Challenger? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the other videos I have available. And with that said, have a nice day.